Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProbMoney.com. I just got a new credit card. In this video, I'm going to tell you what it is and tell you how it fits into a larger credit card strategy, sort of a change in direction for me going forward. So the new card I just got approved for is the Citi Platinum Advantage American Airlines credit card. No annual fee first year, $99 annual fee every year after that. The bonus offer in particular was what made me decide to do this now, even though this bonus has been sitting out there for a little bit. You get a 75,000 mile bonus if you spend $3,500 with the card in the first 4 months of having it. Now, you may know that it is still true that American Airlines has credit cards issued by two different credit card issuers. The card I got is from Citi. The other card that still exists, although it's going to become a Citi card in the future, the Aviator Red MasterCard. I looked at that card and thought about getting it while it was still around. It has a 60,000 mile bonus, which is less than the Citi card. However, you don't have to have any minimum spend in order to get those 60,000 miles. You just needed to use the card one time. However, that card has a $99 annual fee that kicks in immediately, where the card I am talking about, the Citi card that I was just approved for, no annual fee first year before that $99 annual fee. So I looked at them together and it's kind of a wash. Now, getting an airline-specific card is a very new thing for me. I think I've only had one before in my life up to this point. On this channel, I have mostly advocated for the flexible points travel cards from Chase, American Express, Capital One, etc. And I still think that's true for many people, but I am starting to travel more and I'm finding that I actually enjoy some of those little perks that you can get from these airline-specific cards. And then, of course, this card in particular, 75,000 mile bonus on a card with no annual fee in the first year before the $99 annual fee kicks in, so it's also a great offer. And now that I'm starting to appreciate the virtues of these airline-specific cards a little bit more, I'm starting to think that it is time to dump some of the flexible reward cards that I have, meaning the American Express Platinum, probably on its last year, the Capital One Venture X, probably on its last year. They still have a little bit of time to go with each one of those cards with the annual fees that I've already paid, but I think they're going to get dumped. Look at the American Express Platinum card, $695 annual fee. I really am not getting $695 of value from that card. When I first got it, I got a big bonus. That was really nice. And I have this YouTube channel, so I can talk about the features as an actual card holder. But when I really look at the cost, I'm not getting a whole lot from it. I will take advantage of some of the offers on points. Sometimes I will use the Uber credits. Sometimes I will go into an American Express lounge at an airport, but I don't do it all that often. And I have to say, I'm not even overly impressed when I go into those lounges. Sometimes they are overcrowded. Sometimes they are kind of messy. It all depends kind of on where you are at. So I'm finding that the features that are supposed to be exciting to me as an American Express Platinum card holder are getting less and less. And at a $695 annual fee, I could get 4 or 5 of these airline specific credit cards that are going to give me a nice bonus on the front end, and then are going to give me early boarding, some seat upgrades, free check bags. I don't usually check my bags, but that is another feature potentially. And those things I used to sort of think of as, whatever, I don't travel very often. But the more you travel, the more those things start to get a little more interesting to you. Capital One Venture X, with its $395 annual fee, is more justifiable because you have a $300 travel credit and then you get 10,000 bonus points every year with this card. But what I found out is you then have these points that you have to figure out how to use within the Capital One travel portal, which isn't a big deal, except one of the things I have noticed is that when I book hotels through that travel portal, they're not more expensive than if I went straight to the hotel, but oftentimes the least expensive version of the room is not available because Capital One will only show you the refundable options for those hotel rooms, and the non-refundable options oftentimes are left off. And if I'm willing to take the chance on a non-refundable room for a lower price, I would like to get it, and it might not always be there on the Capital One travel sites. There's certainly nothing wrong with that card, and I could justify keeping it, but it's sort of got some headspace here where I just kind of would like to get rid of it, not pay that annual fee anymore, and then I wanted to think about those points and what I'm going to do with them. I was actually just traveling and connecting through Dallas-Fort Worth, where Capital One has its original airport lounge, which is very nice, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I will stop in there in between flights, but what I realized was it was in a different terminal than where I was landing and where I was going to be taking off again, which meant I would have had to get on the tram in order to get over to the other terminal and then get myself back again, and I didn't have that long of a window, so it was sort of like this wild goose chase that I was trying to convince myself to go on to get into the Capital One lounge, because I'm sort of paying for having access to that lounge, and ultimately I didn't do it. But the whole lounge game to me is starting to get to a place where I'm thinking I don't necessarily think the lounges are that big of a deal, and if I'm doing a wild goose chase to get to them because I feel like I'm paying for them, maybe I should stop paying for them. And honestly, I don't even really mind all that much being out in the regular terminal and sitting in the regular seats. Usually I'm traveling personal, not for business, so I'm not looking for some secluded area, and oftentimes in the lounges they're not very quiet or secluded anyway, so it is not necessarily a huge upside for me, and so that's why those types of cards are ones that I am now considering getting rid of. My wife actually already has an American Airlines credit card from Barclays. She's had it for a couple of years, so this wasn't necessarily the logical place for me to start going down this avenue, but the bonus was too good, so this is what I decided to jump on. But in the couple of years she's had it, me traveling with her, I've noticed that I actually kind of enjoy the things that it offers to her and to me as her hanger-on. We have had some, seat upgrades, getting on the plane a little bit earlier. Doesn't seem like that big a deal, but actually just kind of nice. You're going to get some overhead bin space. You're not going to be battling anyone else. Oftentimes, you are going to get seats that are a little further up in the plane, so you're not in row 33 taking forever to get back off again. These are all small things when you don't travel very often, but the more you travel, the more those things start to weigh on you a little bit, and the more you start to feel sort of like cattle being pushed in and off of these planes, and sort of, it being a fight versus being a sort of low stress experience. So, now I will say that the downside to most of these airline specific cards is that the everyday rewards on your purchases are not necessarily all that great compared to what you could get from other credit cards out there in the market. So for me personally, I'm still looking at it as I'm paying an annual fee for the conveniences I can get when I actually do travel versus the rewards I'm actually going to get. So I'm kind of paying the annual fees, but oftentimes I think I'm going to be using no annual fee cards for my everyday rewards in terms of either the cash back or points that they might give. But the sort of big story I think for me is I want to get rid of those high annual fee cards and start focusing on sort of these airline cards that are in that $95 to $99 annual fee range. Now, while I've warmed up to airline-specific credit cards, I can't necessarily say the same for hotel-specific credit cards. Some people really love them, but I think of the airline cards as being something where there's only so many airlines. So usually when I travel, I'm probably going to hit one of the, same 3 or 4 airlines over and over again. So it makes sense maybe to have some perks with them, where when it comes to hotels, yes, we have Marriott, we've got Hilton, we've got Hyatt, and those account for an awful lot of hotels that are out there, but there are a ton of other hotels that are not under those brands as well. And oftentimes I find that those are the hotels that I end up staying in, or sometimes a vacation rental and Airbnb type of situation. So I'm not really sold on getting any extra perks with any of the major hotel chains, and so I still don't see myself going down the road of getting one of their cards. But some people really love to get the cards. I know a lot of people really love Hyatt cards and will go out of their way to stay at a Hyatt when they are traveling because they feel like they get so much value from the Hyatt points. But for me, I'm still not quite there. So I'm altering my travel credit card strategy and would love to hear what you do when it comes to your travel credit cards. Do you stick to flexible points from Chase, American Express, etc., or do you hold airline-specific cards, hotel-specific cards? How much are you willing to pay in annual fees each year in order to get the various perks and rewards? Would love to hear about it all in that comment section.